Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to share with you two different cards for two different occasions, but I'll be using the same stamp on each one of those. I'm only going to switch up the sentiments. Now all the stamps I'm using today are from Crackerbox and Suzy stamps. If you have any questions about those or different products that I'm using today, as always they will be linked in the description box below so you can easily find them. Now I'm starting off with my Misty and this gift pile stamp. I went ahead and took out that foam insert so that way it fits my red rubber stamp. And I went ahead and placed in I believe it's 4¼ inch piece of cardstock that goes all the way across my Misty. So it's about 8½ inches, I believe. And I'm going to stamp this entire length and do a lot of different masking here. I'm using Memento ink. I'll be using my alcohol markers to color, so that's what I decided to go with today. You can use whatever ink is your favorite for alcohol markers. Now I'm stamping the first 3 of these, and I also want to mention that I did go ahead and stamp these on masking paper twice and cut both of those out, and I'll be using those masks in just a moment. Now here's a look at those masks. I did not keep the bows on the top. I went ahead and chopped those off since I picture them as string bows. I'm not going to add any color. And I stamped those on Ink-a-Dink-a-Doo masking paper. And then I'm just going to start placing those down and doing my masking. Now with masking, you always want to start stamping with the stamps you want in the front of your image. So for this, I started with those 3 stamps. And then between each of those, I'm going to start stamping other gifts behind those. And you want to make sure and double check before you stamp that you have masks covering the images that you're going to stamp over. So here you can see I have it over that left gift pile and also the one in the center. And then these are removable and repositionable, so I can just go ahead and move that one to the center, over to the left hand side, and then stamp behind there. I'm going to continue to move these around and stamp gifts behind and further up. That's another thing to remember when you're masking. As you go behind more stamps, you also want to go up, so that way it looks like it's further in the distance. So I'm going to continue to move these masks around and just stamp all the way across the bottom of this paper. I'm not going to go all the way up. I'm just going to go about 1½ inches up this paper, because I will be fussy cutting these out. Now this looks super long, I know. I am actually going to use this for 2 different cards, so I just got all of my stamping done at once. I'll continue to move this one over to the right hand side now and go ahead and stamp in between those 2 behind, and then I'll go ahead and continue to move these around. Like I said before, I didn't want to go too crazy, so I'm just going to do a few more here wherever I think it looks a little bit too, like there's not enough presence here. So I'll go back over to the left-hand side, make sure that I have masks down over all the stamps that I'm going to be stamping over. If you need to make more than 2, you can do that. These are super easy to cut out. Also, you might want to clean your stamp off after every so many stamps. The ink can get a little gunked up on there, and then you don't get as nice of an impression. I went ahead and finished that last stamp off, and then it was time to cut this into 2 pieces. I have my panels all ready to go here that I'll be putting these on. Now I cut these down, and then when I went in to cut this in half, I totally screwed up the measurements. I don't even know how I did it. Yeah, so I went ahead and cut these apart, and then I realized that one was way too long and the other one was way too short. So I will go ahead and fix that in a moment just by cutting those panels that they're going to go on behind. So because these cards are for 2 different occasions, I'm going to be using 2 different color palettes for them. For the one on the right that I'm coloring now, I'm going to be using this teal bluish color. Then I'm also going to be using a yellow, and I'm coloring these all with only 1 marker. I'm adding no shading on this panel. So I just started off with that teal, colored in a bunch of packages with that marker. Then I'm coming back in with that yellow marker. I'll color in a bunch of packages with that. And finally, I'm going to finish off this panel with this purple color and quickly color in all of those packages. These are very thin stamped lines, so you want to make sure you color a little bit away from them. The marker will seep over towards the line itself. Then on this next panel, my Christmas panel, I'm going to color with some reds and greens. I will be adding shadings to these. So I started with my green. I'm using two colors here. I'll go in with the darkest, then fill in and shade with the lightest. Then I'll use my reds. Again, start off with my lightest here, color in all the packages, add a little bit of shading with my darkest, come back in and fill in and blend out with my lightest color. Now on the bottom of these, I wanted to make sure that there was no white space, so I did a quick just cut off the edge of the bottom of those, and then I fussy cut each one of these out. I left a little bit of a white border around each one of those presents, but this is just going to give me a nice like edge die looking almost, but I just made it with stamps and some fussy cutting. There you can see that cut out, ready to go on the card. I've got my Christmas one, and I've also got my birthday one ready to go. Now I wanted to add a little bit of something behind these packages, so I pulled out some distressings. I'm using Evergreen Bough for, I believe it's Evergreen Bough for this birthday card. I did cut down this panel a little bit to make sure it fit those gifts that I screwed up with the measuring on. So before you throw away things that you mess up on, always try and fix them. I have found that so often I can fix my mistakes just by changing up my design a little bit rather than throwing out panels that I've messed up somehow. So for this, I started on the very bottom of the panel and I'm going lighter towards the top. I'll also come in with this green shade. I'm using this one vertically. I'll start off darker towards the bottom and go lighter towards the top. I'm using my mini ink blending tool to do all of my blending, and right now I'm blending with pine needles. I don't think I said the exact ink shade I was using, but to make sure that I don't get any fingerprints, because distressings react with water, they react to oils on your hands, so if you use lotions a lot, anything like that, then it can leave fingerprints. I just grab an extra piece of cardstock and use that to keep my fingers on. You can use a post-it note, whatever you want. Just make sure you're not touching it directly with your fingers, because then you end up with those fingerprints and things like that. So I went in and made sure that I got the shading as dark as I wanted. I kept putting those presents back over the top, double checking. And then once everything was exactly how I wanted it, I came in with a little bit of water on a paintbrush and did some splattering. Like I said, they're reactive with water. Splatter this with a little bit of water, let it sit for a few minutes, and then just blot it up. You don't need to wipe or anything. Just lay your paper towel over the top, soak up that water, and you've got these great bleach spots that add so much texture and interest to this really simple card right in the background. They don't really distract, but they just add that little bit extra. So on my birthday card, I'm going to be using the Celebrate stamp. I keep wanting to say stamp set, but it's just a stamp. I'm using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink to stamp this down. And I love the scriptiness of this, that long tail on the E. It's just a gorgeous stamp. There's a closer look at that all stamped out. And then for my Christmas card, I went ahead and stamped Merry Christmas with that same VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This is the Christmas Simple stamp from Crackerbox and Suzy Stamps. And again, gorgeous, gorgeous sentiment. I stamped that in the left-hand corner. There is a closer look at that all stamped out on my card ready to go. On each one of these cards, I did want to pop up the presents away from the background for that little bit of shadow you can see there. So I added fun foam and double-sided adhesive to the back of those, and then I'll just pop them onto the bottom of those panels. Now, like I said, these I messed up, so I just went ahead and very quickly put those on, trim those down to size, and these are ready to go on to their craft mats. I put those onto the mats with some double-sided adhesive. Just place these straight down, no dimension on this since the presents already have dimension on them. I didn't want to add too many layers on this. So each one had its own little craft mat. It was about 1/8 of an inch on all sides, so about 1/4 of an inch longer and wider each way. Now on the back of those craft, I also put some double-sided adhesive. Again, no dimension on these. And I'm going to pop these in the center of their card bases. On this Merry Christmas, I did use a top folding A2 card base made from white cardstock, And then on the birthday, I used a side folding card base, same A2 size and everything. And these cards are ready to go. Even with my little mess up with cutting them in the wrong places, these still turned out gorgeous. I love them both. And I love that I only used 3 stamps across these entire cards. That is a win in my book. That does it for me today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. There are going to be links on the left side of your screen you can click on, and you can also subscribe to my channel if you want to over there on the left hand side as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up down below. Links are in the description box as always. Happy crafting!